order, and we'll begin with an open invocation.
Holy and generous Father, Son, Holy Spirit, God, praise you for who you are and know yourself to be. Thank you for this place. Thank you for your Emmanuel presence that is always with us. Thank you for creating each person in your image and dying on the cross in our place. We do thank you for your place of government and her officials from national down to our local council chambers. Thank you for those that serve. And oh, that each one would seek and follow your wisdom, as you're the only one that sees everything perfectly, and may we seek your counsel. So thank you for the evening, each breath, each heartbeat you give us, and again for each one in this room that we lift up to you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Go ahead and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. And we'll go ahead and move on to the approved tonight's agenda. So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Move on to approving the consent calendar, which is the minutes of our March 25th meeting and the payment of bills.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Brings us to item number 5, which is to consider the approval of resolution 1985, calling for a public hearing on proposed vacation of alley between lots 1 through 3 and lots 4 through 6, block 3 of Brandon Addition.
So a copy of the resolution is in your packet, proposing to set that public hearing for May 13th, 2025. And once we have that set, we'll get notice into the Staples World and also mailed notice out to all property owners in Brandon Addition.
I'll make a motion for the approval of resolution 1985.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We'll call Doug to second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Brings us to item number 6, consider approval of resolution 1986, the application to the Clean Water Revolving Fund.
So a copy of the resolutions in the packet. As you know, Clean Water Fund, Drinking Water Fund, basically sewer water. So just getting applications submitted for our underground utility projects on 4th and the south side.
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Here's item number 7. Consider approval of resolution 1987, application to the Drinking Water Revolving Fund.
Same thing, just on the drinking water side.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Roy, second by John. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item number 8, consider first reading of ordinance 555 regarding the sale of property.
So Staples City Charter requires a ordinance to be adopted prior to the sale of any property. Sometimes we do these in bulk, like up in Valley View neighborhood. This is the one that we talked about a couple of weeks ago down on Second Street. Jeff and Linda Johnson, property that we picked up 32 years ago on tax forfeiture. So this is the actual legal description of the property, which is interesting to say the least, but the easements are more than describing where the property is. So I would recommend we give the ordinance's first reading.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Mary and a tie for the second. Give it to Doug. He's got two tonight.
Have to give it the old.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Just informational on that. Next council meeting, we'll do the second reading and adopt that ordinance and then approve the purchase agreement, which is fully executed now at this point, so.
Okay, Board of Committee reports. The first one we have is Staples Economic Development Authority.
Good evening, everybody. Everybody's doing well. We have beautiful weather out. I'll just do a couple of really quick updates. We had a very short EDA meeting. There wasn't a lot of meat and potatoes to update the EDA board about, but just a couple of things that I wanted to let you all know about. We are going to probably need to invest some money into the EDA's industrial park building, specifically the garage doors. Some of them are cracked and are in need of bracing, so I'm working on getting some quotes for that. Shouldn't be, obscenely expensive, just long overdue updates and maintenance that we became aware of. So that's going on, working on that. Also found out yesterday that for context, Todd and Wadena County, they had both gone in to submit a grant proposal for a joint housing study, like set of housing studies for all the cities in both Todd and Wadena County. That was denied. So I found that out yesterday, which one of the reasons that I had not been coming to look to us to update our housing study was because I was waiting to see if we were going to be a part of that. And I intimated to Hope Williams, who is the Wadena County economic development person, that if she could get one going for just Wadena County, which she's still very interested in, that we would like to potentially be a part of that. So over the next couple of weeks, hopefully we'll be building a coalition of communities that want to update their housing study, because ours is, I think about 6-7 years old now. So it's just getting to be time. I mean, the needs of the community are always changing, especially as we're doing updates to housing. So figured I'd let you all know that that's on the radar. And then the last thing I wanted to let you know is I'm working on updating the census of all of our businesses and enterprises in the community, just so that we have a good idea of what and where and what's going on in the community. So I'll eventually, hopefully, have that to present to you guys as a list that's up to date, and you'll know what's going on. Small Cities Grant, I think I maybe mentioned this last time, it's almost exactly a third deployed at this point. We've got several of the owner-occupied homes that are done now. They've basically been closed out. Some of them are still waiting to be started, and then I don't think any rental houses or the commercial properties have been finished. And then working with the LEAP Board Executive Committee on a new initiative that they're seeking to bring together a coalition of determined community members to try to make change. So they're asking me to sort of step into that leadership role. We'll see, and I'll let you know kind of what's going on with that. But it shouldn't be too much time and energy, and it's very much related to economic development, but it's exciting because you have a lot of these outside entities that are really pushing for change and improvement in the community, and that's good to have that energy. So given all of that, I will turn it over to Scott unless anyone has any questions.
Lucas? Thanks, Lucas.
Thank you.
Works Commission.
We had one action item at our last meeting, and that was some new water service policies were presented. A lot of these are just to modernize some of the language, and then also to clean up some things, especially when we when we move to full implementation of our AMI. So, one of the things I'll note is that we're gonna have our own staff install the water meters. This helps for, it's better record keeping and then also make sure that we get the nodes installed when we have an opportunity to change out a meter. We just cleaned up some language on sprinkling meters. Added some language about the ability to access meters. Sometimes especially with water meters, we have a lot that we have not read in months just because we can't get access to them. People they don't return our correspondence, whether it's a door hanger, phone call, whatever. So we did put some language in there. And also put some language in when we get close to substantial completion of the AMI project that, we know we are gonna have some people that are gonna hold out. There's just some people that, believe there's something nefarious that goes on with AMI, which, you know, is not the case, but we can't make them believe that all the time. So when we get close and there's those last holdouts, there is language that, there will be a charge for them. Another thing is that we're just now allowing polyethylene pipe to use as a service pipe. That's pretty standard now, but it was in our previous ordinances that only allowed copper. And then also a connection thing where you used to require a licensed plumber to tap a water main, which it just doesn't make sense. Should just be done by a qualified person. So the commission recommended passing these policies and we're asking the council to do the same.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made second by John. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion carried. That brings us to open forum.
A couple other things, Mayor, if I can. Just wanted to recognize our wastewater operators. They were recognized by the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency for basically it's exceptional compliance with our permit, which means they get all of their reporting, sampling, testing done on time, accurately, and they operate in a way that we didn't have any violations throughout the year. So that's good for them. I mean, that means it's a testament to their competency and then also to their, you know, dedication to doing things right. And then our light department was recognized by the American Public Power Association for excellence and reliability is the name of the recognition. But basically what that means is they're being recognized for their short duration of power outages throughout the year. They use a metric that's called SAIDI, which when you take that, it's an average of all the customers and all of the outage minutes. And then it's divided, and then so the average a customer in Staples on average throughout a year has 1.2 minutes of outage time. In nationwide, it's 149 minutes. It's a pretty impressive number for our linemen. It shows how fast they are to respond, but also how they recognize problems before they develop too. And the last thing I have is that the Missouri River annual meeting will be held on May 7th and 8th in Sioux Falls. So if anybody would like to go, let me know and I can register you. That's all I have unless you guys have any questions.
Questions all for Scott? Sorry about that, Scott. I didn't mean to cut you.
No problem.
All right, that brings us to open forum. Anybody here that would like to speak? Yeah, if you come up to the podium there, sir, and identify your name, give us your name.
I'm Robert Bodine. I live over on Wisconsin Avenue Southwest, and I got a little concern about how people are willing to live in a camper and all they got is electric. And I wasn't too much concerned about that. I'm more concerned because there's been garbage sitting around on his lot. And he just picked it up about a week and a half ago and put it on a trailer. And I don't know what it all is, but with summer coming, being sick, getting close to sixties and seventies, I'm gonna be putting my garden in, and I don't want to see creatures running around like skunks and all of them, because we're not allowed to shoot them. So,
You're talking 500 block.
yeah, I guess we'd call it 500, because I think mine's 501.
Yeah.
And,
He's on the radar.
huh?
That'll be cleaned up.
Well, okay, I'm mainly concerned.
Yeah.
I just don't want all these creatures around. We got after a city about keeping our lots clean. And then the last couple years, it seems like it's going down. And I like living in this lot, or this town. I moved here in 2013, and I enjoy working or living here. And everybody's nice, but we don't need some camper pulling in there and living there just
Sure.
because if he's I can't say it. If he's been a veteran or what he is, I don't care.
Oh,
But I don't think we should be living there if you ain't got water and sewer.
there's numerous issues that we're dealing with there. So.
That's my main concern, and mainly for the garbage. Thank you.
Thank you very much for bringing that up. Appreciate it. Anything else that anybody would like to bring up for open forum? If not, we'll move on to the city administrator's report.
Just a few updates, Dower Lake, Safe Room Project, met with the, architect and contractor today. There's a little bit of a price bump, but Homeland Security, FEMA, will do a budget amendment on that. Turns out concrete's more expensive than it was a year ago. Airport hangar project, if you happen to drive out, on Airport Road today, Ideal Construction's out there stripping off all the topsoil and starting that project, so good to see that. Just want to remind everybody, class and comp study is underway, with negotiations coming up next year, and it's been, 4 full years since we did the previous one. And, over at the community center, had a meeting yesterday looking at different locker room layout concepts. And once those are done, they can start really tearing into that. And also developing plans and specs on the whole boiler system replacement. So lots of projects gonna kind of hit it all at the same time here this summer. That's all I have unless there's questions.
All right, well, we're gonna close this meeting.
Just a second.
This meeting is being closed.
Oh, just a second. I just got a couple questions on the community center.
Oh,
Is that, I know we got that tax thing in 1,025,000 or whatever one. Is that just a piecework thing, or are we is that gonna be a project that's, I mean, how big is this thing gonna get? There's no, are we having a concept drawing, what it's gonna look like? I know now they've got the front, they're gonna change, and an elevator or something, maybe an addition on the back, or?
That's not part of this. We had previously looked at a number of different concepts, but the majority of the work that will be done ultimately with the sales tax revenue, you won't see when you walk in there, with the exception of the locker rooms. Boiler is in the mechanical room behind the closed door. The 2 furnace and air handler units for the gym and pool are upstairs in a locked mechanical room. So when you ask, is it hodgepodge? No, but we're gonna kind of meter it out as we go and as we have revenue coming in, so we don't have to go and incur additional expense for bonding. Now, that could change if there's major malfunction, but we probably fund that the interfund loan. So,
So the elevator isn't gonna be, or there is not gonna be an elevator, or?
not as part of what we have planned right now. You know, depending on when we get all this stuff done, you know, if there's additional dollars available, we can look at that, but it's basically the boiler, the two furnaces, the, locker room renovation. The east entrance is an item that we had in that feasibility study, that, everybody is seeing, that, that Department of Education grant, that Lucas was able to get, is gonna cover the cost of that, so that'd be a cost not being covered with the sales tax, so. But locker rooms are in tough shape, as anybody who's been in there knows, and we wanna get that done, so that there's something visible for our members that are in there, so.
So the sales tax money is gonna go for that, what you just brought up, that'll cover.
Well, yeah,
Basically,
those are the priority items at this point, yeah.
Okay,
And I've got, like I say, if you wanna, refresh your memory on, feasibility study stuff,
oh, yeah.
get a copy of that.
I think the feasibility study is sort of identified some of the major issues that we had, and then when the sales tax went through, the things on that study that were of most priority, infrastructure was going to be the first things that were going to come off of that, you know, for repair.
I guess the thing that kind of concerns me when it's kind of piecemeal here and there or whatever, done in small, sometimes you end up walking over other projects or disturbing things that have been done already. And then, you know, that kind of stuff. And it ends up driving the cost up, where if it was done, you know, if everything was kind of drawn out and made I mean, you probably know what's going, you know, I probably don't know. But, you know, it's like you paint a wall and then you knock a hole in it to put a door in, you know, I mean, how things go.
Yeah.
You know, and so goes the paint. You know, I mean, that's my concern, is that when you're putting a piece here and a piece there and a piece there, for one thing, the cost, it usually drives the cost up of the project. And what happens is you end up disrupting things that have been worked on already, or finding out you did the wrong thing. You know, that's.
Well, and I'm not gonna tell you that none of that will happen, because in a sense, this is a remodeling project, and we know how those tend to go, but,
I think the
one of the things that, you know, we found when we opened that floor up in the locker room is there's a lot of conduit running in that slab, or just below the slab. And, very difficult to locate that, but, with the other metal that's in there, so. We might find more than another one of those in the locker rooms in that project, but most of them are pretty self-contained to their specific areas, so I'm not anticipating that we're gonna, you know, run into a lot of those issues.
Any other questions for Gerald? If not, this meeting is being closed pursuant to Minnesota statute 13D, 05, some subdivision 3C, to consider the sale of real property legally described as lots 1 through 11, block 2 of Valley View neighborhood, and to consider terms of a counter offer.